this is Kilobyte. In this video, we're going to be building a Bluebird house. My father-in-law gave us a Bluebird house, our first Bluebird house, probably 15 years ago. And one of the most important things I've learned is that you really need to do some research on Bluebirds if you want to be successful. So I've made a video called Caring for Bluebirds. I highly suggest, if you're watching this and you're going to make a Bluebird house, or if you're going to buy a Bluebird house and you're not familiar with Bluebirds, to please watch that video. I think you'll find it very helpful. There's a lot of different plans out there for Bluebird houses, and let me tell you, they all are terrible. Nah, I'm just kidding. There are obviously some good ones out there. I've made many different Bluebird houses over the years. The one I'm going to do in this video is the one I happen to like. I'll have a list of all of the cuts, the sizes of the pieces that I'm making, so that'll be at the end of the video, and I'll try to put a time on the comments or something on where to go to see the actual sizes that I'm using on the cuts. I think that's pretty much it for the preliminary stuff. Let's get started. Alright, so this is what the house will look like. This is a cedar house, and it's got good dimensions. If you've seen the Caring for Bluebirds video, it meets all those requirements, and try to keep it in the frame here. It has a nail slot here to keep the front down, and the front pivots open. Looks like some bluebirds have started. Few pieces of grass in there. And that'll give you some idea of what it'll look like when we're done. And it's a good, successful design. I've got the wood cut. As you can see, I've got another piece of 6 foot long by supposedly 8 inch wide, which is actually like 7 1/4, but of cedar, so to make another house. But here are the pieces cut. I've got front, which is going to be like so. I have cut the angle at the top. That's a 1 inch angle, so this side is 1 inch shorter than that side. That's the only odd angle you got to make. That side's 11. That'll be the side that goes here, and you'll have that about a 1/2 inch clearance at the top of the front. This is the back. You got your shorter side. That's 10 inches, which is 1 inch shorter, so that lines up with your front. And your back is here. The back is taller than the whole birdhouse. That way it's easier to secure. You'll have I was getting some of that on there. You'll have enough at the bottom to put screws through, and same at the top. Then the bottom is here. I've cut the corners on it, and I'm going to also be drilling holes in the bottom, additional holes to let water out. The top is not finished yet because the board is not wide enough for the top that I want to do. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking some wood glue. I'm going to be gluing these two pieces together like so. You put some glue on it, then you'll take clamps and you'll clamp them down. Now this isn't a professional planer job. These haven't been planed. These are just straight cuts from when I got the wood. And so I will glue those, then I will cut it to the size I want. So most of it's done, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this, and then I will probably start putting this together. So this is the piece that will be the top. This was the two different pieces. What I've done is I've taken, this is wood glue, just any quality wood glue will work, and I put a bead along the edge of one of them, and then I took and lined them up. They are flat on these two pipe clamps, and then I have tightened them reasonably tight, and basically you want them fairly tight, but you don't want it so tight that it's going to damage your wood here. If you start seeing your wood gets sunk, if it starts sinking in the wood, you're probably a little tight. And then I'm going to let that sit probably overnight, just to make sure it's done, because I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this tonight anyway. So that's what the roof will look like, and again, once it's dried, I will cut it to the right size that I want and kind of smooth that out so it's a nice straight cut. But that's how you join two pieces. Here is the birdhouse with the on its side. This is hard to do while holding the camera. And I try to, this particular design works best when it's on its side, because the sides are bigger, they're wider than the front and back. And you'll notice the there we go. I don't have the hole punched out in the front yet. This is your angle, and the top will go across there once it's cut, once it's dried and cut. And so it'll look more like that. The back sticks out on the top, sticks out at the bottom. The bottom will be just slightly up from the bottom of the wood. So I've got it laid out here, and I'm going to drill the holes for the back. Probably put through 2, maybe 3, and on the bottom there'll be 2. What I'm going to do is use a pilot hole to drill the holes, and then I'm going to screw them in. And I find that that's the best way to do it. If you drill the pilot hole, you're less likely to split the wood, and I much prefer screws because they're going to last a lot longer than nails. Nails will push out. Screws you can always tighten if they loosen up. Also, because of the way the front is going to work, if you nail everything, it may get really tight and you'd have to start tweaking the front, whereas with screws you can just back the screw off a little bit and that'll let it open easier. Alright, so let me start those. I've drilled the holes in the one side. Again, there's 2 on the bottom, and I went with 3 on the back piece. And now I'm going in off. You drill the pilot hole, then you take a larger bit, like so, and you can countersink it. See if I can do this. You just a little bit, and I'm doing this because of the screws I'm using are not my first choice, but that's what I have, and they do work. These are exterior deck screws, 2-inch galvanized screw, and I want to countersink it a little bit so that this doesn't stick out. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to do this one side, then I'm going to put the screws in, then I'm going to flip the whole thing over, and do the other side. And again, it's just the back and the bottom. I'm not doing anything on the front yet. So I've got these countersunk, the drilling, and this wood, if you use dry cedar, it's really quick cutting, so don't overdo it. I've countersunked all the holes. I've started the screws, and you can see that they are sticking out just a little bit, and that's going to help me line up the holes with the pilot holes that are drilled. I'm going to start with the bottom plate, bottom piece, and then I'm going to drill the top. And I'll probably, it's hard to do one-handed, but I will take this like so. This will on its side, get it in the camera, that'd be good, and that way I can get it lined up. Then I'll screw them in, and then I'll put the other side on this way and screw it in where I can get a better look at it. So here I've started all the screws, and make sure you don't, make sure you got them lined up when you drill the pilot, and they should go straight in. And obviously I'll be sinking these all the way, but I wanted to show you. And oh, and by the way, on this house, I'm going to be using the rough side out. So that's your side, the bottom, the back. The rough side is forward, because that's what you'll see. The other part will be against a post or something, and in the front will be rough. That's the side. Front will be rough side out as well, and that difference in the look right there will fade away with weather, because cedar weathers really well. It looks good. Kind of turn a brown, grayish color, and it'll look good. There I am, so I'm going to finish tightening these. Here they are all the way in, and as you can see, the countersinking worked out well. They are flush with the wood, and my thumb is in the way. There you go. See, they're flush down in the wood, but not too far down where you lose structure. So now they're not coming in, they're not breaking the surface. Now I will I'm going to do the same thing with the other side, and let's see which one. I'm not sure it makes any difference, but it'll go something like that. And in this one, I have the back. I'll show you what I'm doing. The back, the sides they stick out a little bit from the back. I'm just going to leave mine that way. In the numbers that I have, this is 7 inches, but the actual piece of board was 7 1/4. I just left that 1/4 inch on, because this is going to end up going on a pole, and so having this stick out a little is actually going to cover some of the pole from the side, so it may look a little better with that. So that's what I'm going to do. You can choose to do that or not. It's up to you, but that's where we are so far. Alright, let me give you a couple quick structural tips. I got this side drilled, and the other tops, whatever, chamfered. When drilling, stay away like this one here I got up here. Don't put it down here. You're more likely to split the wood. So I got them down I have them at least 1 inch from the ends. Also, look for knots. This one had a knot here, so I moved this one in a little bit, about 1/2 inch farther than I would have otherwise. So watch out, you don't want to drill in knots. I'm actually going to have a problem with this one potentially, because when I cut it, I don't know why, but I ended up with a knot. That knot I meant to have down here. Sorry, can't see that. Down here. That knot I meant to have down here. And Anyway, basically I slanted the wrong end of the board. It doesn't matter which end you slant unless you have a knot right where you want to put the hole. So I may have fun with this one trying to get a hole. Now I do use on mine, I'm going to be taking, I put a little piece, I don't know what you call them, that increases the hole that's where it sticks out. So that may save me on this, but yeah, watch for your knots. Yeah, that was I was really disappointed that I did that. Go slow. Make sure you got it all set up right. Measure twice, cut once. You know, all that fun stuff. Okay, I've got both sides on, and screws are all flush. And again, the cedar will turn that color, so it'll end up, they'll fade away. Bottom is in. They've got a screw, and I'll just mention they're screwed in from this side and this side. They don't need screwed in from that side. If you want to put a screw there, you can, but it's not necessary. The corners are cut out. I'm going to also probably put 4 more 1/4 inch drill holes in here towards the middle to let water, any sort of water or moisture, you want a little air to be able to come up through the bottom of the nest so that the moisture can evaporate, but you don't want big holes. Let's see, what else? The back, as you see, has it sticks out a little bit on the bottom, so you can put a screws or whatever pipe, U-bolt for going around a pipe. Same with the top, sticks out just a little bit. I've got the rough side showing. The birds don't care which side is in, you know, they don't care, so it's purely aesthetics. And what I've done is I slid the front end. It's not screwed in, it's slid in, and it's tight fit. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole here and here. And actually, I may be jumping ahead of myself. I'm probably going to drill, now that I think about it, I need to drill the front. I need to drill the whole hole. Although, I guess I could drill the pilot holes. But I can't screw them in yet. So I might as well just wait. And I'm going to drill the 1.5 inch entrance into the front. Hopefully without the knot becoming a problem. I've got, alright, some time has passed. The wood is dry. The 2 planks that I was gluing. This one will be on the roof, and what I will do, I'll decide exactly how big I want it and then cut it to size. This will be the top, I'm thinking, and this will be the bottom. That's my plan. I might take a scraper and scrape those off. If it's on the inside, I may not bother, but anyway, with the glue here and everything, it's good and tight, and you saw it was clamped. Here's another piece that I glued, and this will end up being the piece, because we're going to have the 1.5 inch hole right here. I'll use 1.5 inch hole saw, and I'll put it hole about right there. This knot really worries me, but we'll see. But I'm going to cut this into a square, and then I'm going to put a hole through it. And what this does is it extends the hole, gives the bluebirds a little more space, so that other predators can't reach in. Like starlings will come up and try to reach in. They'll try to stick their heads in and try to grab stuff. Whereas if it's a little deeper, it makes it a little harder, and obviously clawed predators won't be able to reach in as far either. So my next step is I'm going to start cutting some boards and drilling some holes. Quick tip on this, I cut it 2.5 inches, roughly 2.5 inches, and 2.5 inches, and 2.5 inches, 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 2. when you go to drill the hole, first of all, be careful. Make sure because the harder you press down on the drill, the more likely that piece is to spin. So hold on to it. Also, the drill piece will come through. Make sure you got something on the back so that won't that you can drill into. So now I've got both holes cut. I will tell you that on the front, the knot ended up not being an issue. So what I did is I measured across. It's 5.5 inches. Took it, divided that in half. So I put a mark 2 3/4 inch right here, and then I measured down from the top. The center of the hole is 2.5 inches from the top piece. Made my little X, and then I drilled the hole in. When you add, as you can see, the hole would have been, just the width of the wood before, and if you want to do that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I add the front piece, and the key is to line them up. And I actually suggest taking some sandpaper, and that's what I'll do on the back to clean that up, and on the back of here to clean that up. And then I will take and either glue or nail. I haven't decided yet. I don't know if glue will work with the cedar. I may end up nailing it. Line it up, get it, and then you attach it. Now on this one, you'll notice that somehow I didn't get this very straight. So I may touch this up a bit. I may even put a little slant on that. I don't know, but that's just cosmetics. It's just cosmetics there on the hole. Now I will also make the cuts on the roof. Well, you know what? I'm going to save that for last. See, I'd make this up as I go. What I'm going to do is I am going to attach this first. I'm going to clean those up, attach it, and then I'm going to attach the front to here. Then I will decide how big I want the roof once I have the front on, because you want some overhang, and probably not that much overhang, so I will definitely be trimming it, but I wanted more than just the one board. I wanted a little more than that. I mean, you could do it with just, honestly, if you wanted to make it without adding the second piece, you could, because it does fit. I mean, you could have it this way, or you could even put it that way, but I prefer a little more overhang on mine. It gives it just a little more protection, and this was just a little too small. So let me do those. Alright, you might hear the Purple Martins in the background. What I decided to do, because of that knot, I can't put a nail in where that knot is, so I'm going to put just a little bit of glue here, and I found some inch long nails. I'm going to flip this over, I'm going to line it up, set it down, and then I'm going to put 3 nails in it, and hopefully the glue should hold it, and the nails are really just to keep it in place till the glue dries. So that was my solution for that. Something else let me mention with this on the front. Oh, and I did sink these in just a little bit. They are just 1 inch, so they don't go through, because that's 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5 inches. They'll sunk them in a little bit, and the glue should be drying. Make sure I will be resanding this since they're together now that they're put together. I will be sanding it. The Bluebirds will grab here, so you don't need to make the cuts on the front, the slats, the little slits. You can, but they actually grab a hold of this edge. That's another reason I do it. What I'm using to make the little ladder, the ladder is so that the young ones can climb up, and also so the adults could hold on here if they wanted. Just got a Dremel, little cutoff wheel. Use whatever works for you. Just, you know, safety goggles, be safe. So I'm going to turn it on here a little bit. And speaking of being safe, hopefully the board won't fly, and hopefully you'll actually be able to see this. But you just take the cutoff wheel and go like so. And, you know, about a 1/4 inch. This is on the inside. It doesn't, only the birds, and you will see this when you open it. And just about every quarter, you know, about a 1/4 inch. Do some lines down to, doesn't have to go all the way down, but put it where, if the nest itself is going to come up, the nest itself is going to come up several inches. All right, so I mean the birds will be probably, the nest will probably come up to here. By the time you got your floor down here, you're going to have a nest, and then so you can start them just a couple inches, go down a couple inches with these, and as wide as you want. They don't have to be too wide. The hole is only 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to finish this up. Alright, so I've cut the, hopefully you can see in there, there's not a lot of light. Anyway, the little ladders are cut in here, down fairly wide, fairly deep enough. Okay, and I have set it in the front inside in the house where it will go, on the front obviously. Lined up the bottom. Now I have taken a square so I can mark the front, these holes that you drill for the front. You're drilling, they need to be parallel. They need to line up nicely across, because what happens is this house, back off a little, you will, to open it, you're going to have a screw here and a screw here. Those are going to act as your pivot, and you're going to pull up, and that will give you access to the nest. I like to have them fairly high, that way I can get more access in here. The lower you make it, the less room you're going to have inside to work. And then I will also be drilling, and I'm going to drill the same way. I'm going to drill the hole, pilot hole, and then I will put the screw in this on each side. And then I'm also going to put down here on the bottom, it doesn't really matter exactly where, anywhere in here, I'm going to drill a small hole I will then use a nail to hold it shut. And then when I want to open it, pull the nail out, it's at an angle, I pull the nail out, and then I can open it. When I close it, I just slide the nail back in. Since it's at an angle, it's going to stay in there, and it'll keep it closed. Alright, it's starting to get dark, and so I've got some lights out so we can hopefully see. My camera does not do well in the lower light conditions, but here we are. We've got the hole was drilled there, and remember how I countersunk the others? These are also that way. Hopefully this is picking up all right. And what happens is, to open, and boom, there you go. Again, it's a nice and parallel, it's 90 degrees straight across. The screws are straight in, 90 degrees. That lets it function as a good pivot, and it's pretty tight right now. It's of course it's not attached to anything, so but as you can see, it'll open up very depending on how far I stick the roof out. It'll open up at least 90 degrees. And there you can get a better look at the little ladder stuff that I did. It doesn't have to be real deep, but they do need to be, you know, at least, I don't know, what is that, an eighth of an inch? Something like that. Something so they can grab. And I put a, you'll see there's a hole right here and a hole here. That is so that, and you'll notice they are angled. So I'll stick a nail in there when it's hold it shut, and then you can open it by removing the nail. Now, these screws here, these deck screws, they're actually pretty good for this, because if you countersink them, and I'm hoping the light will show it, if you countersink them, you have a whole section with no thread. So opening and closing, theoretically, these won't work loose as much. You'll want to keep an eye on them, and you'll want to, you may have to tighten them at some point, but theoretically those screws, I have used those screws many times, and they do work. They're just kind of big and ugly, but they function well. So we have the box here done. Now, time for the roof. And I haven't decided what size I'm going to make it. So I'm going to do some testing. I do want it. The thing with these is you want them to come over on the sides just to protect the box. All right. The front, you want it to come out a fair bit, so that not only to protect the front from rain and weather, but also to make it harder for a predator to reach down from the top. So I'm going to play around with it, and we'll see what size I come up with. Let's see if I can remember what all I've done here. Alright, what I've done is I've cleaned up the edges of all the wood. Just take some sandpaper and you just run on the edges. You know, not too much, just to clean any splinters. And it'll look better, especially with this cedar. Once this thing ages, any little imperfections, for instance on the front here, and I don't know if this is going to show on the camera, there's some saw marks. You're not even going to see those when this cedar has aged. Everything will be just look natural. I ended up going 10 by 10 inches by 10 inches on the roof, only I mismarked and went 10 by 9. So I'm going to actually have 10 by 10 listed, but this one will be 10 by 9. The 9 is the distance from the front to back, and this is 9 inches. And this light, I apologize, it's dark out, and you can see that with 9 inches it still has a decent amount of overhang, but probably not as much as I was going to do. And I've cleaned up the glue marks that were on the bottom. And let me mention, when I cut the top, I actually, remember this board here that I glued together? I have this piece right here. I could have easily cut the 2 by 2, 2.5 by 2.5 out of this board, but I forgot I'd have that extra piece. So, alright, I've cleaned the edges. Alright, let's look at the bottom here. You can see in the bottom, and it might be easier to see from the top looking down. See the white, the corners? Those are cut out so that there's drainage. But the middle, there's nothing. So what I'm going to do is this happens to be an 11/64 inch drill bit, and I'm going to drill drainage holes like here, 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 and then one in the center. So there'll be 5 of them, and the key is on the size. You don't want it too big. 1/4 inch to me is pushing it. It's probably okay, but I'm going to go with a smaller one, a little smaller than that. And then I'm going to also, on the side, and this will be easier to see when the top is on, it won't stick out this much when it's when it's actually attached. But I'm going to drill some holes, vent holes, like here, here, and here, and that will allow, and then you got that space on the front, if I don't block the camera, the light, that'll allow some airflow, and that'll pull some of the heat out in the summer, hopefully not allow too much cold in the early spring and the fall, if there's any in there. So I'm going to drill those holes now. I got the holes drilled, and actually on these holes that are on this side, which for mine is the high side, if you drill going from the inside out, you can angle it down a little. That way any water, if water did happen to make it underneath the overhang, it'll run, the angle will, the water would run out, not in. And you're trying to keep it dry. That's the whole purpose of, show it from the other way. Those holes on the bottom, those are so that water will drain out, and you don't want water to make the nest moist. Want to keep it dry. So on the roof, now it's time to put the roof on. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use screws on the roof. It's not, this thing is structurally very sound, and the screws would be a little overkill. Plus, the real reason, trying to get that on at the correct angle and not stick it through the side is really hard. See? Yeah, that's right. There's always a cheat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some wood glue. I'm going to put just a bead of wood glue here. Bead of terrible camera work, sorry. Bead of wood glue here. Not a whole lot. And then I'm going to set this on it, and I'm going to use some nails, some little, these are, what are these, 1.5 inches, which should, I may switch to 2s. Oh, sorry about the camera movement. That would just barely go in, wouldn't it? Well, it certainly wouldn't go through the side of the wall, as small as they are, but I am going to countersink them, so 1.5s are probably going to be sufficient. Plus, it's going to have some glue on it on these edges, so that's really what's going to hold the roof. So let me proceed with that. I wanted to show you the bead of glue before I cover it with the roof. If you'll notice, I put it towards the side of the board that the roof is going to angle, so because that's where it's going to have contact, because it's at an angle. Oh, terrible camera work, at an angle. So I have the glue there, and it's probably going to come over, squeeze out a little bit, but we'll just wipe that off. Now put it on and nail it. That'll be a little tricky, I think, holding it in place, getting it straight and nailing it, but we'll. Alright, so I found a cheat. I thought of a cheat. What I've got is I went and made a mark, and I hope you can see the pencil line. I marked it with the pencil line on the left side of the board. I then, and it goes over to where I mark where the end is, so I don't go past the front. And then I put 3 nails to the right of said board, of said line. And now I can set it on top and hammer those in, and they do stick out a little bit. They do stick through just a little bit. And let's see how that goes. And there we go. It is nailed on. You will notice got 3 there, 3 here. I did not, they're countersunk just a little bit. Alright, you can use a little sink, but you don't want to go too far because you don't want water to pool in there and then seep down. It's very tight against the back. It's very tight. You're not going to see any light through there, but it's not sealed. You can seal it if you want, but I don't find it necessary. And turn it like so, and there's the sides. And I apologize again for the light. I wanted to get this done. It's been too long. There's the house, and look, it's not near as hard as it may look to open. It's just the house that is not attached, so terrible leverage. And there you go. As you see, I was able to do it without sticking the nails through the sides, which is amazing because I am the worst nail driver ever. So that's it. All I've got left to get, I just have to put that nail on the side. And what I will do with this, again, you got this little piece here that sticks up enough to put a, if you're mounting it in a wood post, you can drill holes here and here on the top. You can drill holes on the bottom. This is the house that I prefer. I have some pictures that I might put in the video of some other houses that I've made of different designs, but I've found that this house is really successful. The Bluebirds love this house. It's got a good size floor, and yeah, I'm gonna watch the other video, the Caring for Bluebirds, and you'll see some of the rationale for why I do what I do. And as you can see, the hole there, it's pretty deep. Bluebirds have no problem with a deep hole like that. Just line it up. And oh, I remember one thing I was going to mention is I said about cleaning it up. Make sure when you do sand this and clean it up, you can chamfer the edges here, but don't widen the hole. 1.5 inches is all you want. More than 1.5 inches, and you're going to get other birds in. As it is, the house sparrows are going to be a major pain because house sparrows and bluebirds will fight sometimes to the death for these things, these houses. Please watch the other video so that you know what to expect with bluebirds. But that's it. This one I'm not painting. I may see if I can erase some of the pencil marks, but honestly those will go away with the weathering. So I'm not real worried about it. I'm going to mount this thing probably tomorrow morning, I'm thinking. It's kind of dark right now. And again, I apologize for the light and my awesome job handing off the camera from hand to hand. Sorry guys. But that's it. It's not, I didn't get everything perfectly straight, and again I will where you're like at the end of the video I will have the measurements of everything that I did, and so if you want to use those to make your own. And wow, I think that's it. It's a little long, but hopefully you found it useful, and I appreciate you guys putting up bluebird houses and helping the bluebirds out. And thanks for watching, and hope it helps somebody. If so, you know, please like, subscribe, or comment. And if you have some questions on it, you know, feel free to ask. I may not know the answers. I certainly don't know all the answers, but I have been doing this for probably 15 years as far as having bluebirds. I've probably made at least 6-7 houses. Obviously it's been a couple of years since I made one, so a little rusty on some of the things, as you've seen in the video, but the results aren't too bad. All right, y'all take care.